Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone. It is 1:38 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this 16th day of February 2021. Taking a look here at our cryptocurrency markets, definitely want to look at some opportunities. Today, we're kind of seeing some evidence in equity markets that risk off assets are maybe losing their luster, whether that is just going to be a weekend holiday pullback and then resumption of the uptrend. Who knows? But we are seeing some actual price action weakness in the equity markets. And that translates over to Bitcoin because Bitcoin is still considered, it's still considered a risk on asset, meaning that people are willing to risk their capital in the desire and the hope that it will continue to appreciate. Whereas risk-off assets are things that are going to be a store of value, which Bitcoin also is. When people are risk-off, they tend to go into things like bonds, metals, things of that nature. But we're in an interesting environment where we have all asset classes all going up. We have cryptocurrencies going up. We have treasuries going up, energy, commodities, the stock market. I mean, there's very little inverse action going on in these markets, which is a danger of inflation. But let's look at Bitcoin. And I mean, as much of a Bitcoin bull as I am and a cryptocurrency, I'm a perma bull. I have every belief that this Bitcoin will be $500,000 within the next few years. But also, I'm a trader, and when I start to see some things that are weakening, I want to take some profit, get some capital ready to get in on a pullback. If we look at the daily chart, the current daily candle is pretty. This current daily candlestick itself, I'm not a huge candlestick pattern person, but I do recognize that some candlesticks are worth noting, especially when you see something like this. You see this new all-time high. We hit 50K. Can't believe I'm like 2.5 minutes in. I never even mentioned that Bitcoin's at 50K. Bitcoin hit 50K and it's promptly pulled all the way back down to where we've been trading over the weekend pretty much. And that's kind of where it stayed. Now, going over to the weekly chart, I'm going to keep saying that the buy positions here need to be at the slightly above the Kijun Sen. So this is at 30K, 30,440. It's a 30,229 is the weekly Kijun Sen. I mean, 30,500 is where I would probably want to look at putting a buy limit order. And it's just because we have not seen a real breakdown of price here for a while. We haven't tested the Kijun Sen on the weekly chart. And the daily chart, ever since we broke out back in October 2020, we haven't even tested Senko Span B yet. So we've been at this for a while without testing the strongest support and resistance level on the daily Ichimoku chart. So, I'm a little leery about how much higher it can go in the short term. I mean, very confident that it's going to keep going up. But in the meantime, I think we're going to experience that 45 to 90 day a period of lower prices and or consolidation coming up here. So that's for Bitcoin getting in again at 30,500. Definitely what I'd be looking at. We go to Ethereum, which also hit some new all-time highs a few days ago, but Bitcoin's in a 4-day down stretch. All right. Ethereum is continuing to drop in price and in overall volume. And just like Bitcoin, it has not had a really strong test of the Kijun Sen on the weekly chart, or the Senko Span B on the daily chart, which respectively they're pretty much the same price level. So for Ethereum, sitting at 1,100 as a reentry, or even 1,200 as a reentry, that's not a bad zone to be having to put some buy limit orders. I mean, when I look at the oscillators for the weekly chart, there's clear bearish divergence that exists here. And be careful of this guy right here. I mean, we have these actually we have something here that's actually called hidden bullish divergence. We have these higher lows, but then we have these lower lows. That's hidden bullish divergence, except there's nothing with price action near support zone that would see prices moving up higher. But there is something sneaky about the RSI and the composite index that exists that we should be paying attention to. And patterns exist on line charts, whether they're oscillators or a price chart, so pay attention to patterns. But this pattern here, actually, let me do this first. I'm going to maximize the chart. We do have a head and shoulder pattern developing on the weekly chart for Ethereum. We have the same thing occurring on the composite index. You could even say that the same pattern exists on the %B. This is a scary. If you're buying up here, this is a scary levels to have. And I know some people are going to say, "Well, those aren't real head and shoulders patterns. They're not symmetrical enough." Quick little thing: Japanese candlesticks developed by Munehisa Honma. Before the Meiji Restoration, he developed candlesticks, and he had these methods. This one right here, this is called the Three Mountains pattern, and then the one that looks like this, that's the Three Rivers. What we did in the West is we decided to do this. We raised the middle peak and middle trough and called them head and shoulders patterns. Not sure why, but either way, that does not matter. If you're going to use candlesticks, maybe it matters in American bar charts, but it doesn't matter in Japanese candlesticks. In Japanese candlesticks, all you need to look for is 3 peaks or 3 troughs. That completes that pattern. Doesn't matter if the middle is below, both shoulders, or how tiny and non-symmetrical these levels are. As long as there's 3 peaks and 3 troughs, that fulfills what we would call a quote head and shoulders, an inverse head and shoulder pattern. So that's what we've got going on Ethereum. Litecoin, Litecoin's had some pretty nice drives up as well. A very clear response to its support structure there on the weekly chart. But yeah, just be very careful of these levels. Litecoin, I wouldn't get in yet. I'm not looking to get in on any level right now. Cardano's been facing a bunch of resistance up here. We've talked about this in our past videos. I've talked about how Cardano's more than likely to face a lot of pressure up here. For Cardano, I don't want to get in till about 50 cents, ideally 35 cents. That would be the ideal level, but we'll see what happens. But just keep an eye on this market, folks. We're seeing a lot of evidence of markets starting to turn over a little bit here, so just be careful and be aware of that. You guys have a good rest of your day. And from all of us here at Exchange Rates UK TV, thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I look forward to speaking with you tomorrow.